All right. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. It is draft day. 32 teams in the NFL will think that they have landed a boatload of future Hall of Famers by the end of tonight in the first round, and certainly by the end of the draft on Saturday. I'm Fletcher Mackel. He's Sharif Ishak. We're going to spend the next 15 or 20 minutes on our live stream here. Thanks for joining us on the WDSU digital platforms, Twitter, Facebook, our website. And we're going to go through a bunch of things here talking about what we think the Saints could do. Sharif, do you want to start? I think there's one thing we can bank on absolutely positively at some point over the next 3 days. The Saints are going to do what?
They're not going to draft 8 players. So that means they're definitely going to probably trade up at some point. I mean, since 2008, Mickey Loomis has made 20 draft day trades. Since he became the GM in 2002, he has traded up in the first round 9 different times. So odds on favorite tells me they're going to trade up at some point, whether it be tonight or tomorrow or even in day 3, they're going to make a trade because they're not going to use all 8 selections.
Yeah, you're right. The draft is 7 rounds long. The Saints have a pick 29 overall that they got from the Denver Broncos for Sean Payton going to coach that team because the Saints traded this year's number 1 to Philly. So Philly has 2 picks this year. The Saints had 2 last year. The Saints got the pick from Denver. They also have a pick in the second round, number 40, in the third round, 71. 3 in the top 75 is serious value when you're building a team. You got to hit on those picks. And look, Jeff Ireland, the assistant general manager, has done a great job in the second and third round. I mean, you think of Alvin Kamara was a third rounder. Eric McCoy was a second rounder. Pete Werner was a second rounder. Marcus Williams was a second rounder. I mean, Trey Hendrickson was a third rounder.
Michael Thomas. I mean, we can go on and on. They've been awesome at drafting.
Right, in the second and third round. So, and look, the Saints the last 2 years have missed the playoffs. I think those 3 picks are high-value picks that they need to hit on this year.
They don't need to trade those picks at all. They need those 3 picks. The first 3 picks have to hit. They have to keep them, and they have to continue to get value picks. They have to continue to hit on these picks, whether it be a defensive lineman, defensive tackle, defensive end, running back, tight end. They need to make sure that they keep those 3 picks because those have very high value, especially in day 2. I think this draft is super deep, Fletcher, in quite a few positions. I'm not so sure about round 1. Round 1 just feels like it's all over the place, so much uncertainty. So I think it's when it comes to day 2 and day 3 where the depth can be built on this team.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And look, this is also a special day or a special week for hundreds of college football players. I mean, dreams are going to come true when they hear Commissioner Roger Goodell call their name. Some are going to walk out on the podium and give him the bear hug. Others are going to get the call from coaches and general managers. We have Mickey Loomis, the Saints general manager, who spoke at the media on Wednesday, talking about the emotions. I thought that was a really human moment. That was really special that Mickey gave us a peek behind the curtain in the war room. He talked about that. And he also talked about maybe the favorite phone call that he'd ever made. It came in 2011 when the Saints selected Cam Jordan, who's one of the greatest players ever now in franchise history, out of Cal Berkeley with the first pick. Let's listen to Mickey Loomis right now.
Well, Cam Jordan stands out because he was so, talkative and all over the place. He had this high-pitched voice, and I looked at John, what did we just do? But most of the time, there's just so much emotion and you can hear in the background, you can hear the families, going crazy, and the players are crying half the time, and I get all teared up, Yeah, it's one of the best parts of the job is that call.
Yeah, I mean, Sharif, I thought that was a great moment. You were at that press conference yesterday. I thought that was pretty great, and I think he's pretty spot on Cam.
Yeah, he's been involved in the draft since 1984, so almost 40 years, and he's tried to recall some of his favorite phone calls, but that's the one that just comes to his memory first. Of course, it's Cam Jordan, the guy who's a fan favorite, great personality. I mean, even Cam tweeted the video, quote tweeted the video from that press conference saying, hey, maybe we should draft more high-pitched defensive ends from Cal on our football team. And, it was a good moment. I do like when Mickey Loomis steps away from, being the guy who's very secretive. I like that. That was very, very human of him yesterday to talk about how he breaks down and how he gets very teary-eyed and how emotional it is whenever he has to make that phone call because those guys are achieving their dream of making it into the NFL. That was one of the more powerful sound bites I've ever heard from Mickey Loomis in the time he's been here with the Saints.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was fantastic listening to it yesterday. I thought it was a great peek behind the curtain and insight into who he is as a person, how much it means for him to have that moment, realizing it's a special moment for the player and their family and their friends. And he understands how much that moment means to them. Also, we talked about Mickey trading up. That 2011 draft was when they traded up. They took Cam at 24. He wasn't supposed to be there. Then they came back into the first round at 28 and they took Mark Ingram, the Heisman Trophy winner from the University of Alabama. Both of those guys, I mean, they nailed those picks. I mean, Ingram's the all-time rushing leader in franchise history, has been a key cog on some great Saints teams, is a free agent now and probably won't be back, and who knows if he'll play again, but has had a great career. And obviously Cam is still playing and has passed up Ricky Jackson this year, is the Saints' all-time sacks leader. So now we're going to get to maybe our moment of truth. And we're going to do our picks for the New Orleans Saints. Sharif, do you want to just kick us off if that's okay?
Yeah, I'll start first. I think mine is very boring. I'm very disappointed in myself. I wish I would just go off the wall and just do something the Saints wouldn't do and draft like offensive players, but I know the Saints.
Don't worry, I did. Don't worry, I did.
I know you did. I wish I could have just gone running back and receiver and just do something crazy, and much end up doing it, but I did not. I just went ahead and picked guys that I think that, like, especially in the first round, that this team needs to address the defensive line. So my two picks, I'll just go ahead and go with it. If Brian Brzee, the defensive tackle from Clemson, is there, I think, he'd be a solid pick. I know it's not the sexiest pick. A lot of people are up and down on it, but I guess you can convince me they need help on the defensive line, whether it's defensive tackle or defensive end. And then in the second round, I'll go with Georgia tight end Darnell Washington, a physical specimen. You saw what he did against LSU in the SEC championship game. To bring in a guy who's won a couple national championships. You'd like to add players on the team who are absolute winners. You're getting two winners if you make these two picks. And I think, the fan base would be somewhat happy if you got both of these guys and you could build off of that with the third round pick. So I'm going to go Brian Brzee, Darnell Washington. I really think Washington can be very good with Derek Carr. Because like I said, Derek Carr needs two solid tight ends. Darren Waller and Foster Moreau, they were good whenever he was when they played together with the Raiders. And I think to be successful in this offense, you got to have at least one tight end.
And look, Sharif, you're red hot right now, smoking hot. Last year, you picked Olave and Penning. So do you want to give yourself a humble brag or a pat on the back real quick?
No, because I'm going to absolutely get every single pick wrong in this draft because that's just how it is. Last time I got it exactly right with the Brandon Cooks trade up and the Saints drafting him, and it's been years since that happened. Was that 2014? So yeah, I went 8 years in between being right. I'm never right. So, I'll take it. I guess I'll pat myself on the back, maybe that from last year, and then I'll be wrong for the next 6 or 7 years.
All right. The third member of our sports team is on assignment right now, but she taped a segment for us. So Kendall Duncan is the newest member of the WDSU sports team, and we're going to get her picks right now. She is doing something very Saints-like, building in the trenches, which is what Assistant General Manager Jeff Ireland, who handles the draft, has done since he got here in 2016. Let's hear Kendall and her two picks. We're just doing the first and second picks. Obviously the Saints have more picks, but we're focusing on round 1 and 2 because those are very high profile. So Kendall, give us your picks.
All right, with the 29th overall pick, I'm going to go with Kalijah Kancey out of Pitt. He's a defensive tackle, a little undersized, but super fast. Ran the fastest 40 at the NFL Draft Combine since they started keeping the stat in 2006.
Second round.
All right, second round, 40th overall pick, a big area that the Saints need to address, the offensive line. I'm going to go with an offensive guard out of Wisconsin and Joe Tippmann. The Saints spent a lot of money on their quarterback, their guy, Derek Carr, so let's protect him.
Look, it's hard to argue with those picks. I mean, I love Kalijah Kancey. The only reason I didn't put him in my mock draft is because he doesn't fit the Saints specs. So to say, I love Kendall's picks. I love the mindset because Jeff Ireland has built, look, since he took over, I think, 4 defensive linemen, 3 offensive linemen early in the draft, rounds 1 or 2. So this is his MO, build in the trenches, so to say. I love Tippmann at 40. The Saints, look, Andres Pete's always hurt at guard. Cesar Ruiz is coming off a foot injury and is on the final year of his rookie contract. This is a guy who could play center or guard. I think that Eric McCoy is one of the best 10 centers in the league, but he was injured last year. So getting a guy who could step in this year and potentially take over long-term for Pete, or even Ruiz if you don't re-sign him, I think is a good pick at 40. Getting back to Kancey Sharif, I think you and I can discuss him. I love him. I think he's amazing. I would love to pick him, but it would be outside of the realm of what they've historically done because they follow the formula of football is a big man game, and they stick with those size and speed specs, so to say, and he's a little bit under what they would normally do, right?
Yeah, what is he, like 280, 285, 6'1", arm length 30 and a half? I mean, that's pretty small for a defensive tackle, especially. I mean, the two new defensive tackles they have, Shepard and Saunders, their arm lengths are like around 33, under 33 inches, and that's still kind of like a little suspect when it comes to arm length. But hey, those two guys are in the 300-pound range, and he's at 285. And everyone would say, well, what about Sheldon Rankins? His arm length wasn't, that great either, but he was also, what would you say, over 300 pounds, and he was very successful. That's a little bit different. I'm not against the pick. I like Kancey a lot. Cam Jordan likes Kancey a lot. He wouldn't mind seeing him in the first round. I think she maybe was hanging out with Cam Jordan to get that pick, but I wouldn't mind it. But you're right. Are they going to take a shot at someone that really doesn't fit their prototype?
That's the thing is, like, everybody keeps saying he's Sheldon Rankins like. Height-wise, he is. But Sheldon was 15 pounds heavier and his arms were 3 inches longer. And that does mean something in this sport when you're looking at size and speed. So, look, I love Kalijah Kancey. It would just be completely outside of the box of what they have done since 2016 when Jeff Ireland started handling the draft. There's a first time for everything. I just don't know if it's going to be this time. And now we will get to my picks. Look, in past years, I've gotten close. Like, I had Peyton Turner a few years ago in the second round. He went in the first round. I had Pete Werner in the third round. He went in the second round. This year, I think this is a deep defensive line draft. So I think they can get a guy in maybe the third round or the fourth round or trade back into the second round. So here's what I've got. You like Darnell Washington at pick 40. I think he is a 25 to 40 guy. He's going to land somewhere. High is 25, no lower than 40. So I'm going with him at 29. I think there's going to be a run of tight ends early. I think the kid out of Utah in Nair out of Notre Dame are the top two tight ends, and I could see them go. So if the Saints don't pick Darnell Washington at 29, I don't think he gets to 40, and I really like him. So I'm going with him at 29. And then I'm doing something completely different. I'm getting away from what I said about the size in the specs of the size. Devon Achane is 5'8". And that is way out of the box of a normal player the Saints would take at 40. But he is so electric and so special. I think he could be a real compliment to Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams. I think this is a guy cut from that Darren Sproles mode. And so I think they're going to like him and maybe pick him at 40. And somebody reached out to me and said, maybe 40 is too soon. Well, look, Alontae Taylor last year was a consensus third rounder. I think the highest he was 70, and he was a pick in the 90s, and the Saints took him at 49. And he's worked out really well. And you talked about this. If Mickey Loomis says, if we got a guy we love, we go get him, I could see them loving both of those guys.
I have no problems with either one of those picks at all. I don't care about grades and numbers of where they should be picked. The Saints don't care about that. If they like somebody, they're going to go out and get them. If Devon Achane is 55 to 60 at 40, if that's who they value, they're going to pick him at number 40. I have no problem with it. Darnell Washington, I have no problem going at 29. I mean, the thing I would say is, would you do this, Fletcher? If Jahmyr Gibbs was at number 29, would you take him at 29?
Yeah. He's one of the guys in my cloud, so to say. Because here's where I think the Saints are going to run into a problem. And I just said it with the tight end. Some guys that are there at 29 are not going to make it to 40. I think Gibbs doesn't make it to 40. I don't think Washington makes it to 40. So I think they're going to have a big decision. Who do they take at 29, especially if they really love somebody, knowing that they may not get to 40?
Well, I'll give you a couple more tight ends. If they don't want to do it, a tight end in the first or second round, Sam Laporta from Iowa or Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion, if they want to wait till later in the draft and address, whether it be running back. And they can wait. Hey, look, if they don't draft the running back in the second or third round, maybe Tyjae Spears in the third round is still there. Or maybe Devon Achane is still there in the third round. If they want to address defensive line to the tight end, or maybe go running back in the first round or defensive line in the second round and maybe try to steal a tight end in the third round, I still think there'll be some, but maybe there's some on their board that they value more than the players we're talking about. But that's the uncertainty of the first round. But you're right. I think the draft is deep with defensive linemen. The draft is deep with running back, and I think it's deep at tight end.
Yeah, and then quickly here before we wrap it up here, about maybe a minute each here, and then we'll say goodbye. Do the Saints draft a quarterback early? I could see them drafting like the kid Hayner out of Fresno State in the 4th or 5th round, especially if they can't move one of those 5th round picks to get up. I can't see them. I think it's a wasted pick if they take like Hendon Hooker at 29. I feel like Derek Carr's their guy, and they got needs in 29, 40, and 71 are value picks that can help immediately.
Yeah, if anything, is it Aiden O'Connell, the guy from Purdue? Maybe like if they still have one of those 5th round picks, I'd maybe do it there. But I honestly, Fletcher, you know how much I love Hendon Hooker. If he's still there, I don't think I could do it. I mean, honestly, I don't think I'd do it at 40 either. They just need too many players in a few positions. They need a linebacker. They need defensive tackle, defensive end. They need a running back. They could use another safety. That's another position we didn't talk about. Dertavius Martin from Illinois. I think he'd be a good pick in the 3rd round. They just need so many positions. I can't do it. I don't even think I could do it in the later rounds if they need that many positions, to address and create some more depth on that team. Because as you know, they always go down with injuries on the line, both sides of the line, and sometimes in the secondary. So at some point, they have to build the depth of this team.
Yeah. All right. That's going to wrap up our little digital draft special. We appreciate everybody watching wherever you are, on your phone, at work, having lunch, doing whatever. And we'll have a ton of draft content coming up. Sharif and I are headed to the Saints facility. We'll be live in all of our newscasts today, 4, 5, 6, and 10. We'll have more digital content. Welcome to New Orleans graphics when the Saints make the pick. We'll hear from Mickey Loomis, Dennis Allen, the whole shebang. So again, thank you for watching and watching WDSU, and continue to stay with us for all of your Saints news. Also, one quick plug: we have a new Sunday sports show, Game On, and we are dedicating this Sunday sports show to all things Saints draft. Sharif, Kendall Duncan, myself, we'll have Jim Mora, our analyst, Lance Moore, and so this Sunday at 11 p.m., all Saints all the time. But for now, it looks like the rain is over. Enjoy your Thursday and enjoy the draft tonight. Thanks for watching.